When the render is done, we go back to After Effects. Open up the composition and click on the pre-composition where we have our two keying passes, our actors layer and the shadow layer. We import a render from Unreal Engine into the project. Now you need to set the correct frame rate for the sequence. Right-click on the shot, Interpret Footage, Main. We set the desired frame rate. We insert the shot into the composition, and if the resolution is different, we set the correct size. As you can see, it works for us and it doesn't look bad at all. But it can look even better. We pre-compose the first layer. What I like to do is add the pixel motion blur. When shooting on a green screen, it's a good idea to use a fast shutter speed to minimize motion blur, as I already mentioned. In the end, however, it's a good idea to add motion blur back, because then the movement looks smoother and it helps to blend the edges together. Then I always make some color corrections. We mainly have to adjust our black point, white point and the overall color tint of the shot. In this case, the color of the shot fits quite well. Another thing I like to do is a light wrap. It's an effect where the bright colors in the background are spilling into our foreground. It's a very subtle effect, but it helps to blend our actor into the scene better. This effect is not part of After Effects though, but if you don't have it, you can skip this step. Pre-compose the background layer and apply the light wrap effect on the top layer. Let's set up the background layer here. Using Blend with Original, we set the strength of the effect. I usually set this value around 70 to 80%. But in this case, I don't like this look too much. The edges are already too soft in the dark parts. What I often do is duplicate my background layer, make it invisible and use it only for my light wrap. This way I can correct the layer used by light wrap without having to change the real background in any way. In this case, I want to make my light wrap affect only the lightest part of the image, which in this case looks more natural to me. I achieve this by adding curves to the comp that light wrap uses and setting the black point to clip everything except the highlights. You must not forget to switch the background layer on light wrap to effects and masks mode, so it takes the effects on the layer into consideration. You also have to ensure that certain image characteristics of the foreground and the background are as similar as possible. I already talked about the need to adjust colors, lightness, contrast, black points and so on. But there's one more thing, and that's sharpness. As you can see, the background is a bit sharper than my actor, so I sharpen the actor using the sharpen effect. Finally, I will show you one more trick. I add an adjustment layer and add fastbox blur to it. I'll set the value to something like 15 and the opacity of the layer to something like 17. See what it does? It actually works like a soft filter. In some cases this looks very good, in some it doesn't. Either way, it often helps to blend the shot together visually. And here's the result. Congratulations, we finally have inserted a live actor into a virtual Unreal Engine scene.